Hello, everyone. This is Rev Brad, and this is the Soccer Chaplains United podcast from the Touchline. During the month of July, I've changed up the pod. In the time and space that a coach has to speak to the team, change the tactics, or make tweaks during halftime team talk, I'm limiting myself this month to a short 10-minute or less chat or talk. It's hard to believe that the month of July is almost over and done. That means the Euros and Copa America are complete and we have new champions. The Olympics are still a few days away, but we've got English Premier League soccer starting soon and Leagues Cup in MLS. Still lots of soccer to get through, so let's get in and get on with this week's message from the Touchline.
He's found the space and he's found the back of the net.
Just a little off foot, thinking he's going to go far post. Not strong enough with his right hand.
Whips that one in. Far post, almost made him ends, and they have. He has the hat-trick. The second in his career. The third of the night. The hat-trick hero.
Talked about you're not going to be able to sustain that kind of pressure.
To the corner. Goes towards the near post. And you're the angle, and what a goal! What a goal!
So my family and I recently returned from Yellowstone National Park for our annual family vacation. And I'll share a reflection this week and next on our travels there and some of the things that happened. For this week, I want to say this. After spending 6 days, 5 nights camping in and driving around Yellowstone, I can definitively say that I imagine Yellowstone is like heaven. Yellowstone is like heaven. What do I mean by that? Well, all credit to my wife and her friend as they plotted and planned out our time in the park. We saw the sights. We got out of the car to view wildlife. We roasted s'mores around the campfire and cooked out. We slept in tents. In a word, we did Yellowstone like it was meant to be done. And those ladies did a tremendous amount of research and planning and work to execute out this once-in-a-lifetime epic family vacation and adventure. But hear me, nothing, no thing, no amount of planning, no amount of watching YouTube and social media influencers telling you everything about every detail about the park, no amount of plotting a course on the map, no amount of gear or food or transportation or luxury or camping equipment, no amount of anything can prepare you for the totality of what is Yellowstone. Let me say that again. Nothing can prepare you for the totality of what is Yellowstone. It is that big, that immense, that beautiful, that wonderful, that awe-inspiring that you really can't take it all in. You know, we'd be at different sites. We'd hold up our phone cameras and we'd get a picture. We'd get that selfie or ussy or daddy, as I like to say. And it couldn't sufficiently capture the beauty. We saw wildlife. We saw bears, coyotes, bison, eagles, fish, marmots, everything, nearly every animal imaginable. Yet it was still too much to behold. We watched geysers spray high up into the air. We saw magenta pools. We lived through sulfuric smells, scenic views, cascading waters and waterfalls. We saw it all, and still we only got a glimpse of what is Yellowstone. And in many ways, this reminded me of what I've been told and what I know about heaven. As we drove and hiked and walked and experienced Yellowstone, I couldn't help but think, you know, there's no real way to describe this place or to describe my experience of it. The photos don't do it justice. The planning, we might as well throw it out the window. The effort to understand or to take it all in, it seems useless because Yellowstone is too great, too grand, and in many ways, this is how I've come to understand and know this is a little bit of what heaven must be like. One of my favorite authors is C.S. Lewis, and of his writings, The Great Divorce is among my favorites. But Lewis once commented about his own work, and he shared this. No, I don't wish I knew heaven was like the picture in my Great Divorce, because if we knew that, we should know it was no better. The good things even of this world are far too good ever to be reached by the imagination. Even the common orange, you know, no one could have imagined it before he tasted it. How much less heaven? What Lewis is saying is there's really no way that one can describe heaven. Even if we could, it would somehow lessen it. And we would know that the idea of it has been formed and manipulated somehow by humanity. Heaven can't be imagined until we taste it, until we experience it. And Yellowstone is the same way. I can actually tell you, I can't tell you about this trip. I can't describe the beauty. I can't show you the pictures. You have to go. You have to experience it yourself. You know, as a chaplain in soccer, of course, I'm thinking about how do these things hold true with the beautiful game? And I think that they do. I can think of a few moments like hosting a cup trophy or scoring a goal off a bicycle kick, being in the stadium or on the pitch when Messi scores a hat trick, or come up with your own experience. But we can only go so far in our descriptions, in our photos, in anything about it. You have to experience it for yourself to truly understand it, to truly, really absorb it, to truly appreciate it. As a pastor and a chaplain in soccer, in the church, in hospice for many years, there's been a line in a prayer that I've used from time to time, whether I was officiating a service or doing something. And it's always captivated my thinking. And it reads like this: Lord, so strange to us this doorway labeled death, a door of darkness still closed to protect us from the brilliance of eternal life, a final obstacle to the fullness of your presence. My friends, we cannot take the fullness of God at present. We cannot see the brilliance of eternal life. We cannot behold the beauties and wonders that heaven hold for us. It is too much. It is too overwhelming. Like standing at the edge of one of the Yellowstone River waterfalls, we would be consumed to stand face to face with God, to soak in the fullness of Him, His presence, and of heaven. So if someone tries to tell you or sell you a picture of heaven, don't believe it for a moment. You know, I remember a number of years ago a story about this kid who had he died. He had a cardiac arrest or something and gone to heaven for a certain length of time, or you know, he was comatose, and he came back to life. Maybe it was an hour or 2 hours later, and so he wrote this book describing everything that he saw in heaven. And he became famous overnight. His family took him on this book circuit and this tour. And I remember they even came to the church where I was pastoring, and it was interesting because a few years later they came clean and they said, you know, the whole thing, the book, the story, the images had been made up. The dad had kind of helped the kid write this stuff up. And it just affirmed to me, it confirmed to me, my friends, heaven is like Yellowstone. It cannot be described. It must be experienced. John the Apostle writes in the last book of the Bible, the book of Revelation, this description of heaven. He says, "Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth. For the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and the sea was no more. And I saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, 'Behold, the dwelling place of God is with man. He will dwell with them, and they will be his people. And God himself will be with them as their God. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and death shall be no more. Neither shall there be mourning, nor crying, nor pain any more, for the former things have passed away.'" Revelation 21, verses 1 through 4. Just quickly, have you ever wondered why there's no crying in heaven? I have too. And I confess that I don't even know how this is possible. But instead of pushing that back and rejecting the mystery, when I actually experience something like Yellowstone, it helps me to understand. It helps me to lean in and go, oh yeah. So this is what's being talked about. This is what it means. My friends, we're out of time today. It's time to get back out there and get on with the game and get on with life. But let me leave you with this. Yellowstone is like heaven. Wonderful, magnificent, indescribable, unimaginable, and so much more. And there's no amount of planning or preparation or research that you and I can do to prepare you and me for what heaven truly is like, because it is so much, much more than we could ever hope for or imagine. Well, this is Rev Brad coming to you from the Touchline.